Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we've got something new from Ruger to look at. Alright guys, so here it is, our Ruger LCP. Doesn't even say 2 on the box. I don't know what's up with that. It looks like Ruger would be advertising a little better. You know, doesn't even say it on the end of the box anywhere. Anyhow, let's get her open and see what we've got. So there we have it, the Ruger LCP II. Got one magazine, the gun of course. We have a little pocket holster and a flat floor plate because the magazine comes with the pinky grip extension or whatever you'd like to call it, floor plate. And of course we have a bunch of paperwork and a lock. And I think we need the box anymore. I don't know why mine didn't come with that nifty little red rubber band that Hickok got, but I guess we'll live with it. Oh, and of course we get our flag. Very nice. So what do we have here? We've got a 6+1 mini revolver with a 2 3/4 inch barrel length and an overall length of the gun at 5.17. It only weighs 10.6 ounces. I mean, wow, guys. A little bitty. And yeah, I know, we had the LCP before it. And the LCP was an okay gun. I've got one. We'll look at it here in a minute, but the problem with the LCP was the trigger and the trigger reset were abysmal. Anyhow, one more thing, a height of 3.71, so a little less than 3 3/4 inches, and a slide width of 0.75. So guys, this thing is tiny. And we got, everything's blued and black here, nothing fancy. I'm sure those will come from Ruger, but for now, nothing fancy. Let's zoom in here a little bit and get a close look at the gun itself. Now what Ruger has done is they have given us a different grip texture here, and whenever we get back out to the desk, by that time I'll have fired it some and we can talk about that, but it does appear much nicer. And we have some different cocking serrations up here and a different set of sights. We've got some taller sights, got some jimping, if you will, on the sights or cuts. Should work out good, make it easier to see. I'll probably get some nail polish in yellow or orange or something bright green, I don't know, and paint this front sight post to make it a little easier to see. But Ruger's given us something that looks pretty darn good here. Roll it over the other side. Everything's good. Now here is one thing. We have lock. It's in about the same place as the original LCP, but the difference here is it is cut so that the magazine follower will lock that slide back on the last round. Not a huge deal, I know, but whenever you're at the range, it gives you that indication that you're done. And you know, that's great. And if you're in that firefight, hopefully we never have to do that, but if you are in that and you have to expend all 6 rounds, it gives you the indication that you need to swap magazines. So that is a great thing. Our trigger is another major difference. We've got a lever style trigger now. So this is our safety and the only safety on the gun. That's something to be aware of. We don't have the big, long, heavy double action trigger anymore. This is a more Glock style trigger, or M&P style, whatever you'd like to say. I've measured it at about 7 pounds. That's what the average that I got out of it. So 7-pound trigger pull, and let's see, we've got that much take up, so a fair amount of take up, but there's no resistance here, guys. Very little. And once we get back here, little more, and boom. So pretty easy to shoot. And our reset, it's a little far out there, but it's not bad. Once again, we got just a little stacking, and boom. Is it as good as a Glock or a Smith & Wesson Shield? No, but it's pretty darn close. And way better than any of the other micro pistols, with the exception of maybe the Glock 42. But I don't know what your experience with the Glock 42 was, but mine was not good. So, so far my experience with this one has been a lot better. We'll get out and shoot it here in a minute and see just how far that goes. Another thing to be aware of is they have widened the gun across the back for recoil mitigation. Gives you a little bit more width here, right there in your hand, so that you don't have that itty bitty skinny thing hitting against the web of your thumb there. And they supposedly have lightened the slide. Now, it feels lighter to me. We'll get a regular LCP out in a minute and see. But if they have actually done that, that's pretty impressive. Anyhow, we should probably do some comparisons here. We have Smith & Wesson Shield. We can see that the LCP is, of course, considerably smaller than the Shield. And just for comparison's sake, we have a double stack Glock 26. Again, considerably smaller than the Glock 26, especially whenever we look at it this way. Do the same thing with the Shield. So the LCP is, of course, a pretty small gun. It works well in the pocket. And now that we're done with those, we'll get a look at... Now, hang on. Before we get to the regular LCP, we have a pocket holster that comes with this guy. And that's a nice addition by Ruger, because getting the proper fitting pocket holster can be a real pain in the butt. So if you get one that comes from the factory with the gun, you have a pocket holster that obviously fits the gun. And it does. It fits pretty well. Our trigger guard comes down in here, got just a little bit of room there, and it leaves enough of the gun out that you can pull just the gun out of your pocket, and you don't have to pull the whole holster or try to get a hold of the gun in some weird way. So the pocket holster's good, and it's got that neoprene type feel, and it seems to stay in the pocket pretty darn well. And other accessories, of course, we have the magazine. We get rid of our safety warning there. And we have 6-round magazines. They are different than the regular LCP magazines. The follower is different. The magazine itself, the same, but except for the different texturing down here on this little plate. But the actual magazine itself, exactly the same. It just has a different follower in it to facilitate that lock back on the last round. And of course, we get the flat base plate so that you can go into deep concealment by losing that, a little over 1/4 of an inch there. Alright, so what you want to see, let's get the regular LCP out here. Whenever we lay them over the top of each other, you know, it's pretty darn close. There's not really a lot of difference. Whenever we lay them down side by side, though, we can start to see some differences. We got a more squared off trigger guard. We've got some serrations up here if you're a person that likes to get your fingers in front of the trigger guard. And our texture is obviously much different. And overall, the LCP II is slightly thicker. I don't think we're much thicker really in frame width or slide width, but grip width, you can see right there that the LCP II is just a smidge thicker. And they did that on purpose. Whenever we flip them around like that, the LCP II is just a tad bit taller. Overall, they're very much the same size. And whenever you get the LCP in your hand, the LCP is a very, very small, thin gun. You know, I don't mind shooting it. I don't exactly like this awful trigger that they've got in it, but it is a very, very small gun. Makes it very good for deep concealment. The LCP II is dang close to the size of the LCP I, though it's not quite as small. Whenever we look at our grip widths across the back, the LCP II is slightly bigger. And by being slightly bigger, there's a little more to hold on to. The texturing is, I don't know, a little better maybe, maybe not. Oh, but it's all right. Ruger seems to think it'll help, and maybe it does. I do like this right here. This is nice, and this right here on the back strap is very nice. I will probably end up pulling a Hickok and putting some grip tape across it, or if I can find one of them little red rubber bands, that'd probably be plenty enough. But anyhow, the big deal here is this. Whenever you go to fire and empty, whenever you go to fire the LCP1, you start here and you start getting resistance here. And you got to keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, and then boom. And then whenever you go to reset it, you got to let out. Clicks once, you're not done yet. Got to let out some more, almost all the way to the front. And there you go. It's finally reset and ready to go again. LCP II. You pull it up, slight amount of stacking, and boom. Go to reset. Resets right there. Ready to go again. So all of the changes that Ruger has done here are for the good, but the trigger mechanism is the biggest change. And the way they get away with that is whenever you rack the slide on the LCP, you are staging the trigger. It's at, half cock, 3/4 cock, something like that. And whenever you start to pull the trigger, you can see, we'll zoom in there. You still have to move that hammer back quite a bit. And then it finally breaks over. LCP II, I don't know if we can see the hammer in this one, but we'll try. There's no moving of the hammer. You pull the trigger and it's done. So this one goes to full cock whenever the slide runs back and forth. And that's how they're getting the lighter trigger. And it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so I guess we should see if they have lessened the strength needed to rack the slide. I really don't know, guys. That is really, I'm probably not the best guy to ask. I should probably get Paige or Susie Nails It down here to tell me. I'm going to say yes, but it's close. I will say that the cocking serrations here on this slide are better than the ones here, and the width of the slide does make it easier to get a hold of and run the slide back and forth. It's also smoother. There's a hitch in the step here, right there, and then you got to go back. So yeah, they have made it easier. Is it substantially easier? I'm not going to be a good judge of that, but I'll get the girls on it, and whenever we do a direct comparison of the two guns, we'll talk about that again then. Anyhow, we're going to go out to some footage of probably Paige shooting the LCP II, and be careful, guys, she's my daughter, and then we'll get back to the desk for a final wrap-up on this guy. Alright guys, our LCP II. My initial impressions and first thoughts on the gun, and I've only put a few rounds through it, so this isn't some verdict, is it's not much different whenever you carry it, and I have carried it for a couple days now, than the LCP. The extra thickness on the gun doesn't make any real difference that I can tell, and everything seems to be fine. I've used the pocket holster that Ruger sent me, and it seems to work great. Now, shooting the gun, the different trigger mechanics make a huge difference whenever you're firing the gun. The only problem I'm having with it is because of maybe the grip angle or something, I'm shooting a little bit low with it, but I'm sure with some practice that'll get straightened up. And overall, it seems like a really good gun. Now, if you're thinking it's a major departure from the LCP, one, it's not. We're still hammer fired. The internals of the gun are different, but the same. Everything pretty much works the same as the LCP, with the exception of whenever the slide goes forward and back, it fully cocks that hammer. And then you are in a situation like you are with a striker fired pistol, to where the little lever here, or whatever the pistol has on the trigger, is your safety. And 7-pound trigger pull, much shorter than the original LCP. So overall, I'm giving it a big thumbs up. It's a major step forward for the small pistol. Personally, I like it better than the Glock 42. I had a Glock 42 and it didn't give me anything but problems. Maybe you got one and it's great, and that's awesome, but the one I had was not great, and I wish I had one here to compare with, but I think the Glock 42 is a considerable amount bigger than this Ruger LCP, and you're getting all of the good that Glock 42 has in the LCP, with the exception of takedown. Takedown is still a pin and a little harder to manage, but we'll go through that in a future video. We'll do a full takedown of the pistol, and in another video sometime soon, we'll actually do a direct comparison of the LCP and the LCP II. But for our initial review and look at this thing, it is a good one. Is it worth its $280? I sure think so, because that's what it's running retail right now most places. I think they've got it at $330 or $335 or something MSRP, but $280 right around in there is what you can get it for most places in my area, and that looks like the online price as well. So LCP II, it's a good one, and we'll talk about it more with some more videos in the near future. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We do have some more guns to look at too, so stick around, and you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.